Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I do hope that you have had a wonderful week and as I have, and that you have been practicing and you are here where I am on our portrait because we are nearly at the end. So today we're going to focus on the hair. We're going to be doing a couple of points of where we need to get either black, the darks 100% correct, or the lights 100% correct. But for now, we are going to start on the hair. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take your blending stump and blend lightly. Don't put a huge amount of pressure on it. You just want enough on there to be able to lift with a Tomboy. And I'll explain to you in a minute with a Tomboy, because I have another Tomboy with me, which is fantastic for very, very fine lines, and in particular for getting those very, very fine hairs that we're going to need to be doing around the face and the highlights of her actual hair itself. She's got absolutely beautiful hair. I love this little piece that sticks out at the top here. So make sure you get that shape in with your blending stump. Take it out slightly to the side. I see that I have gone quite far over to the edge of the paper here, but that's fine. I'm not going to get upset about that. I'm going over what I did last week, but that's purely because I just gave you an idea of what to do and said to you that we would finish it properly in this YouTube tutorial. So there we have that. I'm going to go out here at the top. This comes down, this comes out. The top, we're going to go around. She's got another piece that comes out here, comes out on the side here. We don't need to be 100% perfect. All we're doing is we are just making sure that the brain picks up that she does have hair, which she most definitely does have. We do know that. And we're just making sure that the brain also picks up the fact that her hair is blonde and obviously has the highlights and the dark bits, the shadows, and that is what we are doing. That's the purpose of this tutorial. So I'm going to go back over her forehead, and I don't generally do this, and I'll tell you why, because often when you go back over graphite on this sort of paper, it marks it quite badly, and it instead of it looking like you've blended it for the first time, it actually comes out a little bit dirty. Can you see this area here? It looks dirty because I've put graphite on graphite. It's not necessarily something that one wants to do, but I'm hoping that when I start pulling out the hair that it will alleviate that sort of muddy look. Apologies, it switched off and I am carrying on with it, so you might just have one or two words repeated. Okay, so let's get down to the hair. So I was telling you about the Tomboy. I've pulled this Tomboy out, and my reason for doing that is you can see that it is an oblong. It's got flat sides, and I am just removing the graphite that's on there before, the piece that I've used it for before, and you'll see now how beautifully it takes out these very, very fine thin hairs. So this is what we are doing. You can see that she has got clumps. There are clumps over here, so we're working on that, getting those clumps removed. She's got a twist here. We need to get that twist, and we need to get this twist up here, and make sure that we show the viewer which direction her hair is going in. And you can see how nicely this Tomboy removes the strands of hair. So down here next to her eye, it's very, very light. We want to make sure that we get that. There's a very, very slight curl towards the face as it comes down and around. We want to get this in and go over your shadows, because the shadows do have blonde pieces going through them. This is what we want to show. And this, oops, it's a hardy-dar. We have these birds here in South Africa. For those of you who don't have them where you are, they're called a hardy-dar. I think they're quite beautiful birds. A lot of people don't, but they really are stunning if you look at them. But they just make a terrible sound. And they're known for waking people up in the morning, because they just shout at each other and have no idea whatsoever of the time. Okay, let's take this across here, take this out. So you can see that we're starting to get really, really pretty highlights. And I know that I've said to you before not to take your hand across. So I'm just using a paintbrush. It doesn't really matter which one you use, as long as it's got soft hairs, just to remove it so it doesn't smudge your artwork. So here you can see that there are quite a few highlights which we want to show and want to get. Okay, that goes across the face, goes down the face over here in all directions. You want to get that to show that that comes round, and then it goes out here, comes down. A little bit haphazard on the side here, but that's fine. We can get that look. Comes down over her eyebrow, into the side of her face, and then down the side of her face. So I'm not going to put in these hairs here. I'm just going to give an illusion of the hair finishing on the side. And there you can see, I'm hoping that the camera does pick it up, but you can clearly see that we do have highlights. We can take out a little bit more. We just need to go across these hairs so that it looks a bit more organic and not like, you know, sort of a wig. Go up here, go over this again. This does curl around and come down across here. So we want to get that beautiful flow. Try and twist your hand around as you go to get that organic feel. She's got a bit of a highlight here on this eyebrow I've just picked up. She's got these hairs that come down here, and we just want to get this coming around, down. This comes round. This piece goes up and around. There's a slight curl there before it continues down the side of her head. So we'll get that in place. But that piece of hair is definitely behind that curl on the top there. We've got another one that comes around here at the back, so we'll get that in as well. So you can do this with the round Tomboy. You can use the round Tomboy for it. But the advantage of using this one is that because of the shape of it. It doesn't go as blunt as quickly as what the round Tomboy does. I'm just removing a little bit of this. And that's the advantage of it, and why I like using it. So we can see that we do have hair there. I'm hoping that the camera has picked this up. I really am. We can go into it. I generally use a 2H, and we can put in some fine lines. Try not to hold it too close to the point, because you want to get a sort of organic look. I know I keep on about this organic, but it really does add to your drawing to rather have an organic look than have what looks like, in this case, a wig. I'm trying to get the hairs to go in all directions. Oops, that's a bit hard, so I will lift that out ever so slightly with my kneaded eraser. You can see that going through here there are shadows, so doing this just reinforces those shadows. It just gives a sense of direction of the hair, and where the shadows are you can take the hair down and across. It also reinforces the direction of the hair. So we're quite lucky here. This that I've chosen, I've deliberately chosen it because it's not that complicated, and she's got beautiful hair. I mean, I love this haircut of hers. I think it's stunning, and it's not that complicated. Well, I hope you're not finding it complicated. You shouldn't be. But you can always stop the video and catch up, and then continue with it. I just want a really organic feel. Right, so in this top of the hair here, I did do this a bit, this is a bit too much here, so I'm just going to remove some of that. There we go. Just going to put in a bit of a shadow here that I've taken out. Right, so we've completed the hair. This is also a bit heavy-handed. Take that out. Now we've completed the hair. Let's have a look at what we have accomplished across the face with the tonal values. I'm just going to take these lines out that I drew in at the start just to clean it up. We can always just clean up everywhere, all the way around the edges, just to give it a bit more of a nicer look. Let's have a look and see. So the one way that I check, and this is going to be interesting because there's a lot of talk about the Loomis method, a lot of talk about different methods and different ways of drawing portraits, getting to the end result. And those are all fantastic. You must look them up. There are other artists that work with those methods and show you exactly how to do it. And you must look them up, because my way doesn't mean to say that it's a way that you will end up only doing. But the way that I check is I put my photograph on top of my drawing. And I'm almost there. You can see that I'm out with my eye. slightly out. I've made that eye bigger. I've taken artistic license and made that eye bigger. I don't think it's a bad thing. Her face is the same width, which is good. Let's see how well I've done with regards to these measurements. So it's not too bad. The mouth and the nose are all okay. I did say to you that I had, as far as I was concerned, the eyebrow was higher than it should have been. But all in all, not bad at all. And that is how you can check and see whether your excuse me, whether your positioning is okay or not. If I look at her mouth, I have made her mouth a bit bigger, but that's probably because I've made the left eye bigger than what it should be. But at the end of the day, if you're doing hyper-realistic, which is what we will be doing later on, her mouth is slightly bigger. This is not a total mess. It's still a portrait. You still read it as a female portrait. It still looks similar to the subject, and one mustn't be too critical of one's work at all. It's all about the enjoyment. It's all about the end result. It's all about the process. And when we do a hyper-realistic portrait, which we'll start with in the next series, then I will be very, very particular about getting sizes correct with regards to eyes, the length of the nose, the width of the mouth, etc., etc. But for this particular tutorial, this is about getting a likeness, and I think we've done a pretty good job. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this, and I really do hope that you are practicing, and I do hope that you're filling your sketchbook so that when we get to sew it together, we've got lots and lots of pages to sew together. You can be proud of what you've done. Look from the start of where we started with the first, very, very first tutorial right up until the last. Have a great week, everybody, and enjoy drawing.